Let us feel the presence of our Almighty Creator through the gift of life that we continue to enjoy. Through the past, present, and the future that makes life wonderful. Heavenly God, we praise your omnipotence, we trust your omnipresence, and we believe in your loving heart. Grant that our hearts be filled with love, our heads be nurtured with wisdom, and our hands be molded to care as we journey through this life. May your blessing be showered upon our lives so that we may fulfill our mission to serve our life purpose, and so we may achieve our vision of becoming close to you. Make me an instrument of your love, a messenger of your peace, a steward of your creations, and a gift to humanity. Grant our wishes so that through them we become more equipped to serve you and others. Guide us, be with us, enlighten our minds, touch our hearts, and guide our hands. Bless our loved ones, our families, our world. All these we ask through our loving Creator. In the silence of our hearts, let us pray for our personal intentions. Amen.
Go ahead po, sir.
Okay pa. Are we expecting more po, ma'am? Or
Yes
okay
po,
na?
sir. Mga late lang po mapapasok po.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this another day of learning here at Carl Balita Review Center. I am Mr. John Lawrence Rodriguez. I am a graduate of Bachelor in Secondary Education, major in English, a high school teacher here in La Union. So to those of you who are from La Union, baka nakikita-kita tayo dito. And also, I am a student under a program, Master of Arts in Language Teaching. Today, we will be, you can see in the PowerPoint, we will be tackling or discussing about pronouns and verb tense. So these two topics are not new to you anymore. When you were in elementary, high school, maybe in college, you were learning about these two topics. And now that you are about to take your civil service exam, you are again learning or relearning these two topics. So this is just a form of review. Let's see if you can remember what your teachers in elementary or high school taught you. Okay? Or anyway, let's see. It would benefit all of us if you listen carefully or interact also by answering the questions through the chat box. Let us utilize the chat box so we can avoid interruptions. If you have questions, you can just chat in the chat box. Okay. If there are questions, clarifications, if I am going too fast, you need me to slow down, you need more explanation, you can just unmute. Kung ayaw nyo naman, you can chat in our chat box. Okay. So once again, welcome to this new lecture or this lecture on pronouns and verb tense. For pronouns, we will be focusing on the cases and antecedents. So, review lang tayo. Again, for pronouns, we will be focusing on pronoun cases or cases of pronouns and also its antecedent. And of course, for verb tense, yung very familiar, yung past, present, future, di ba? Present perfect, past perfect, etc. and so on and so forth. Now let's start by defining pronouns. Okay? I will give you definitions. I will give you definitions of these words, but I don't want you to focus on these definitions. Focus rather on how we arrive at the answers. Kasi in your civil service exam, you will not be defining words or you will not be defining pronouns. You will be identifying the correct use of pronouns. You will be correcting errors or you will be correcting erroneous sentences. You will be identifying the errors in the sentence. Yun yung gagawin ninyo, but never to define pronouns, nouns, etc. Okay. So let's start with again, defining pronouns. It says here that a pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun. I'm sure you all remember this, diba? That pronoun is a part of speech. Pronoun is a part of speech. Yung noun, pronoun, verb, adverb, adjectives, etc. But pronoun is here because it substitutes the noun. Again, pronoun is here to substitute the noun. We have here an example. Laura is beautiful. Where is our noun here? Sabi natin, ang pronoun, it substitutes the noun. So let us identify what noun is. Ano yung noun dito? Noun is Laura. Therefore, Laura is the word that we need to substitute. Of course, in substituting, we need to determine if the word is plural, singular, if it's we determine the gender. Is it a male, female? Is it a neuter? Okay. So in this case, of course, Laura is a girl. It's a common name of a girl. Unless you know someone whose name is Laura, but he is a guy. That's okay. So Laura is beautiful. Therefore, we need a female pronoun. So the substitute pronoun is she. Laura is beautiful is the same with she is beautiful. Another example, the students are inspired. The students are inspired. Okay? The students are inspired. The students, this is our noun phrase. Students is our plural noun. If we substitute a plural noun with a pronoun, it should follow the number. If we substitute a plural noun with a pronoun, it should follow the number. So we also need a plural pronoun. So they are inspired is the correct substitute. Okay? Pwede niyong tignan, pwede niyong titigan yung ating mga sentences. That's how we transform a sentence having a noun subject to a sentence having a pronoun subject. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Just like what I said a while back, we will be focusing on the cases of pronouns. So the cases of pronoun, we have subjective, objective, and possessive. There are actually more cases or forms of pronouns, but we will not be tackling about these anymore. These are the common ones. So let's focus on subjective, objective, and possessive. When we say cases, this also means forms. Kasi ang pronoun natin, hindi lang siya pambabae na she. Pwede rin siyang pambabae na her. Hindi lang siya panlalaki na he. Pwede rin siyang panlalaki na him or his. So there are a lot of forms of plural. Let's start with this one. Subjective case are pronouns that are used for the subject of a sentence. In other words, when we say subjective case, they function as the subject of the sentence. They function as the subject of the sentence. That's subjective case. Ibig sabihin, when we are identifying the subject kasi in a sentence, we are actually referring to the word being talked about or the doer of the action. We'll learn about these things later on. Apart from it functions as a subject, it also functions as a noun subject complement. Ano ang difference ng dalawa? How is subject different from noun subject complement? You know, in a sentence, we often think that a subject is always put in the beginning of the sentence. Well, most of the sentences have their subjects at the beginning of the sentence, but that's not always the case. We also have subjects that are put at the end of the sentence or at the middle of the sentence. And if subjects are put at the end or in the middle of a sentence, these are still okay. Let me repeat that. If the subject is put in the middle or end of a sentence, that's still okay. Kasi ang subject pwedeng nasa beginning, nasa middle, nasa end. If the subject is put in the end of the sentence or in the middle of the sentence, yan yung tinatawag, dyan na pumapasok yung tinatawag natin na noun subject complement. Dyan na pumapasok yung noun subject complement. We'll learn about these things later on. Ito na. Let's start with, before we proceed to the other examples of subjective complement, we have here some clues in identifying the subject. Kasi nga in subjective case, it is a skill and it is very important that we know how to identify the subject in a sentence. So here's one way. In identifying the subject of the sentence, ito number one, a subject is the doer of the action. A subject is the doer of the action. That's the first thing that you have to bear in mind. If you know this and if you know how to identify the subject, then kayang-kaya mo nang mag-identify ng pronoun antecedent, ng subjective case, and other grammar rules. So, you can identify the action in the sentence and ask who does it. Again, the subject is the doer of the action. So kung meron kang sentence, basahin mo ng mabuti yung sentence na yon. After reading the sentence carefully, you identify the action. Ano ba yung action na nangyari sa sentence na yon? Okay? After identifying the action, tanungin mo, sino ang gumawa ng action na yon? Sino ang gumawa ng action na yon? Who did the action? Who does the action? The answer to the question who is our subject. Again, the answer to our question who is our subject. Let's have this example. He closed the windows. He closed the windows. Gaya ng sabi ko, you read the sentence carefully, you understand the sentence. After that, you identify the action or the verb. Now, in this sentence, closed is our verb. Ngayon, tanungin mo ang sarili mo, who closed the windows? The answer is he. Now, he is our subject. Okay? He closed the windows. Verb is closed. Then you ask yourself, who closed the windows? Then he is our subject. Now, don't be confused. Not all sentences have main verbs in them. Yung iba, merong linking verb, merong helping verb. Okay? But you always have to know how to identify the verb in the sentence. Then ask yourself kung sino ang gumawa nun. Then that's the subject of the sentence. Next, a subject follows a linking verb. A subject follows a linking verb. Dito na pumapasok yung ating noun-subject complement. An example, we have here an example. The top-notcher was he. The top-notcher was he. The top-notcher can be any one of you. Okay? But the top-notcher is or was he. Ngayon, ano ba yung sinasabi niyang linking verb dito? Ang mga linking verbs natin, yun yung mga was, were, is, are, etc. These are words or verbs that links the subject to the predicate. Okay? So in this sentence, the top-notcher was he. Saan yung linking verb natin? Nandito. Saan yung pronoun natin? Nandito. Is the sentence correct? Yes. Because if it is followed by a linking verb, then we need a subject. And that's what we call noun-subject complement. The top-notcher was he. Hindi pwedeng the top-notcher was him. Okay? A subject will never be in a prepositional phrase. A subject will never be in a prepositional phrase. What does this mean? One part of speech in our grammar or in our language is the preposition. Ano ba yung preposition natin? Ang preposition, yan yung words that identify the word itself position. So, saan siya nakalagay? Saan nakalagay yung baso? Saan nakalagay yung laptop? On top of the table, on stage, under the table, to the market, for you, yung mga yan. Yun yung mga prepositions natin. Ngayon, kapag meron kang nakita na subject na ginamit as nanilagay sa isang prepositional phrase, ano bang example ng prepositional phrase? In the market. Yung sinasabi ko kanina. For her, for you. Kung meron kang nakitang word na nakalagay doon and it is a subject but it was put in a prepositional phrase, that's an error. Again, that's an error. Meaning, mali yung sentence na yan. How about this example? Okay. Just a minute. The prize was given to him. The prize was given to him. In this case, saan yung prepositional phrase natin dito? Yan, to him. To him is our prepositional phrase. Kung yun yung prepositional phrase natin, tama ba yan? Tama ba na him yung ginamit natin? Yes. Kasi nga, ang him ay isang object at hindi siya subject. We'll learn about this. Yan. So, take a look at this summary. Okay. Ganyan muna yan. Hindi ko muna yan i-discuss. But we focus on the following. In our subjective case, wait, ayusin ko lang yung cellphone ko para makita ko kung may nag-chat. How do I unmute this one? Okay. Our subjective case, di ba sabi natin ang subjective case, a subject or a pronoun functions as the subject in a sentence. A pronoun functions as a subject in a sentence. Let's have here, we have here some examples. She has applied for the position. She has applied for the position. Anong sabi natin? The way to identify a subject is to ask is does it do the action? So alamin mo muna kung ano yung action. Ano ba yung action sa sentence na ito? Has applied. Has applied. Who has applied for the position? The answer is she. So she is our subject. Okay? She is our subject. Correct. Kat, Mark, and I will review the materials. Kat, Mark, and I will review the materials. Again, balik tayo dito. Ito muna. Sige, sabihin ko na para ano. We know that as a word is if a pronoun functions as the subject, dapat ganito yung form niya. Again, if a pronoun functions as a subject, dapat ganito yung form niya. So, I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. Yan, kapag subject siya. Kapag object naman, ito yung function, yung form niya. So, me, you, him, her, it, us, you, them. Kapag possessive pronoun, mine, yours, his, hers, its, and the rest. Ngayon ito, the explanation here is, kapag nakita ninyo na ang I ay nagamit as the object, mali na yon. Or kapag nakita ninyo na yung me ay nagamit as the subject, mali na po yon. Let's have this example. She has applied for the position. Okay. So again, the question is, who has applied for the position? The answer is she. After asking the question who, at nakita nyo na ito ang lumabas, kapag who ang tinanong ninyo, then the function is the pronoun. The function of the pronoun is correct. Again, after asking who did the action, at ito ang lumabas na sagot, then the function of the pronoun is correct. Kat, Mark, and I will review the materials. Kat, Mark, and I will review the materials. This is what we call compound pronoun or compound subject, yung maraming words. Okay? In this case, we have here the pronoun I. Just a reminder, na ang first personal pronoun I should always be capitalized, lalo na kung mag-isa siya. Okay? First personal pronoun I should always be capitalized, lalo na kung mag-isa siya. So Carl, Mark, and I will review the materials. Sino ang subject natin dito? Si Carl, Mark, and I. Tama ba na yung I ay nagpa-function ng subject? Balik ka dito? Yes. Kasi nga, subject siya. Yun lang. Ganun lang siya mag-identify. Okay? Kahit natanggalin mo ito, kahit natanggalin mo yung ibang words that make the phrase long, it's still correct. Kung tanggalin mo yung cut and mark and I will review the materials, it's still a correct sentence. Okay? We also have here the noun subject complement. The noun subject complement. Ito yung sinasabi ko na meron nakalagay siya o yung subject ay usually nakalagay sa end ng sentence. The winner was he. The winner was he. Okay, again, the question. Who was the winner? Ang sagot ay he. Therefore, this is a correct sentence. The winner was he. This is the correct sentence. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na the winner was him. Pero, alam mo yung mga yun nakasanayan na natin yon. Nakasanayan na natin, but these words or these sentence structures are incorrect. Yung mga the winner was him. Who was him? Diba? Mali yung mga yon. Dapat, kung noun subject complement siya, dapat subject pa rin yung function ng ating pronoun. The winner was he. Another sentence. The committee members could have been they. The committee members could have been who. Hindi mo pwedeng tanungin na could have been whom. Hindi po. The committee members could have been they. Okay? So this is, or this or they functions as a subject, not as an object of the sentence. So dapat ganyan yung structure niya. Ang technique dito, though hindi pare-pareho ang sentences na lalabas sa pinapa-review namin or sa mga sentences na nasa materials ninyo, sa mga lalabas sa exam, the thing is you should know the structure. And if tumapat na ang pronoun cases ay tumapat sa inyong, for example, sa error identification, then this should be the correct structure. Ganyan yung structure ng correct na sentence. Ganyan yung itsura niya. Okay? Another sentence, who was he? Who was he? Again, nandun na yung tanong. Diba? Nandun na yung question na who. Who was he? Meaning, kung meron na yung question na who doon, ang kailangan natin dito ay isang pronoun that functions as a subject. So, he is correct. We have here some examples. I need you to read the sentences carefully. Identify if the sentence is erroneous. So, kung meron kayong nakikitang error sa sentence, then you type that in our chat box and beside it, ilagay ninyo yung dapat tamang sagot. Again, you identify the error in the sentence, i-type ninyo sa chat box natin, and beside it, you also type the correct substitute or the correct answer. Let's have number 1. The author of the book is him. The author of the book is him. Okay. May mga sumasagot na. Again, the question, who is the author of the book? Ano ba yung tamang sagot dito? Ano ba yung tamang question dito? Who is the author of the book? Or whom is the author of the book? Balik ulit tayo dito. Kapag ang tinanong mo ay whom, at yun yung tamang question, at yun yung tamang subject, then dapat ito ang lalabas dyan. Kapag whom ang tinanong mo, dapat ito ang lalabas dyan. Again, who is for the subject, whom is for the predicate. For the object. Now let's go back here. The author of the book is him. Who is the author of the book? Him. So mali siya. Kasi nga, yung question na who is for subject. Therefore, we need a subject here. And him is not a subject. Tama? Ito ay isang object. Therefore, sagot ninyo ay he. This should be he. You are all correct. Okay? So, tama yung mga sinulat ninyo. Okay? So, the author of the book is he. The author of the book is he. Yun yung tamang sagot. Next, it is they who won the grand prize. Number 2, it is they who won the grand prize. Okay, I can see your answers. Again, one clue is if you see who. If you see who or if you see what. Kasi the question that you need to answer to identify the subject of the sentence ay yung who or what. Okay? Ang sagot doon ay subject. Ang sagot doon ay subject, especially who. And that's referring to a person. It is they who won the grand prize. So kung meron ng who dyan, automatic na ang need natin ay subject. Now ask yourself, ang they ba ay subject or object? Obviously, this is a subject. So ang kailangan nyo lang i-memorize ay ito. Kailangan nyo lang i-memorize ang mga words na to. Ano ba ang words under subject? At ano ang words na dapat sagot kapag tinanong mo yung who? Ano naman yung words na tamang sagot kapag tinanong mo yung whom? Dapat ma-memorize nyo yun. Okay? Mr. Cruz and me will be talking about the new project this afternoon. Mr. Cruz and me will be talking about the new project this afternoon. This is number 3. We are in number 3. Again, kindly put your answer. Okay, nakikita ko na may mga sumasagot and the answers are correct. Sabi nila, mali daw yung me kasi dapat I. Now they are correct. Bakit? Ang tanong kasi dito, who will be talking about our new project this afternoon? Who will be talking about our new project this afternoon? Again, kung who yan, hindi siya pwedeng me. Dapat I siya. So ano ang implication nito? Ano ang dapat nating alam? Dapat alam natin kung paano mag-question. We should know how to craft the right question for us to get the correct answer. Again, we have to know how to craft the correct question for us to know the correct answer. Iba sabi nga nila, if you ask the correct question, if you ask the correct questions, you will arrive to the correct answer. So yeah, again, the book or the author of the book is he. It is they who won the grand prize. Mr. Cruz and I will be talking about our new project this afternoon. Okay. Now we move on to objective case. When we say objective case, siya yung kabaliktaran ng ating subjective. Kung ang subject natin, it functions as the subject of the sentence, ang object natin functions as the object of the sentence. Ngayon, under objective case, it follows na kapag ang it follows sa ating mga types of objects or sa kinds ng objects natin. We have direct object, we have indirect object, and we have the object of preposition. Do not be confused. Hindi magkakalaban itong tatlong ito. Pare-pareho lang sila ng kailangan na pronoun. Okay? But I will explain them differently. I will explain them individually so that we know what these three are. Let's start with the direct object. Just like what we said a while back, if that is an objective case and it's direct object, the question should be whom. So whom did the director hire? Whom did the teacher call? The question is whom. Kung ang subject ay yung doer ng action, kung ang subject ay yung doer ng action, ang object naman is the receiver of the action. Again, the subject is the doer of the action. Ano ba yung subject natin? Pinag-uusapan. Siya yung topic ng sentence. Siya yung pinag-uusapan sa sentence. Ang object naman, siya yung taga-receive ng action. Okay? Let's have here an example. The director hired them immediately. The director hired them immediately. The question is, whom did the director hire? Whom did the director hire? Bakit whom ang question natin dito? Kasi hindi siya subject. Sino ba yung... Sige, balik tayo sa process natin. Again, read the sentence. Then identify the action. Ano yung action dito? Hired. Okay? Sino ang gumawa ng hiring? Who hired? The director. Sino ang hinire niya? Who or whom did the director hire? Them. Therefore, them is the correct answer. Okay? This is an object. This is an object. Next, the teacher called me. The teacher called me. If you look at these two examples, bakit parang pareho lang naman? Halos pare-pareho. For example, ito, the winner was he. Diba? Parang magkakamukha, the teacher called me. Diba? Pero dito, again, you go back to the process. You have to ask the right question. Or again, read the sentence, then identify the verb. Ano yung verb natin dito? Called. Sino ang tumawag? Who called me? The teacher. The question is who. So ang teacher is pwede natin siyang i-substitute ng subject, subjective pronoun. Whom did the teacher call? Whom did the teacher call? Yan. Me is the correct answer. Whom did the teacher call? Me. Therefore, these two sentences are correct. You just have to ask the correct questions for you to arrive to the correct answers. Now, we also have here the indirect object. Kung ang question sa subject ay who, ang question sa indirect object, or ang question sa subject ay who, ang question sa object ay whom, or yung indirect, yung direct object ay whom, ang question naman sa indirect object ay to whom, for whom, or from whom. Okay? Para kanino. Para saan. Para kanino. Ganyan. Now, let's have this sentence. The students threw George and her a party. Again, the students threw George and her a party. Again, balik tayo sa process. You read the sentence carefully. You identify the verb. Ano yung verb natin dito? Threw. Sino ang nag-threw? Who threw George and her a party? The students. So ito yung subject natin. Whom or sige, what did the students throw George and her? Ito na yung object natin. What? Balik tayo dito. Sa object natin or sa direct object natin, whom or pwede ring what yan. Yan. Now, the answer here, kapag what ang tinanong mo, yun na yung object natin. So, what did George or what did they throw George and her? A party. A party, ito yung ating object. Kaya lang, noun siya dito. Hindi siya pronoun. Okay, don't be confused. Noun yung ating object dito, hindi siya pronoun. So the students threw George and her a party. Again, ano yung verb natin? Threw. Sino ang gumawa ng throwing? Yung pag-party, yung the students. Whom did the students throw the party? Yan na. Or what did the students throw George and her party? Ngayon, the question now is, to whom was the party thrown? Para kanino yung party? Diyan na lalabas yung George and her. And her is our object or indirect object here. Okay? Let's have number 2. We showed him our budget. Balik tayo sa question. Ano yung verb dito? What is the verb in the sentence? Showed. Who showed him our budget? We are looking for the subject. Who showed him our budget? We. Ito yung subject natin. Next nating hanapin yung direct object. We showed what? What did we show him? What did we show him? Our budget. This is our direct object. What did we show him? Our budget. To whom was the budget shown? To whom was the budget shown? Him. Kanino namin pinakita yung budget? Him. Therefore, indirect object siya. But still, ang form ng direct object at indirect object ay pareho. Kasi pare-pareho ang form ng objective case. Okay? Balik tayo dito sa direct object. Look at how I ask the question. Okay? First, identify the verb in the sentence. Then ask yourself, sino ang gumawa ng action? Sino ang gumawa ng action? The one who did the action is the subject. The next question is, whom did the director hire? Whom did the director hire? Then this is now our object or direct object. Dito naman, pareho lang siya. Her, him, them, pare-pareho sila ng form. Yeah. And we also have here our objective case, and which is object of preposition. Again, you have to know what your objects are or what your prepositions are. Ito yung to, except, for. Kapag meron ka nang nakitang object of preposition at meron siyang kasunod na, kung meron ka nakitang preposition at meron siyang kasunod na pronoun, dapat ito siya. Again, kung meron kang nakitang preposition at meron siyang kasunod na pronoun, then ito ang kanyang form dapat. Hindi siya pwedeng magagaling dito. For example, our preposition for. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na for I. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na for he, for she, for it, for we. Mali yun. Kasi ang preposition ay bagay sa object. Kaya nga tinatawag nating object of preposition. For me, for him, for her, for us, for you, for them. Yun yung kanyang form. Okay? That's our object of preposition. Now we have here our sentences. Okay? Some of the sentences here are correct. Some have errors in them. Let's start with number 1. The same yung gagawin natin. You can just type the error and of course the correct form beside it. The manager promised us a bonus if we double the sales. The manager promised us a bonus if we double the sales. Okay? Sige nga, tanungin natin. Let's do the process. Again, after reading the sentence, tanungin mo. What is, sige, I need you to type. I need you to type in our chat box. What is the verb in the sentence? What is the verb in the sentence? Please answer my question. That's correct. So the verb in the sentence is promised. Ngayon, to identify the subject, we have to ask the question who. Who promised us a bonus if we double the sales? Manager. Manager is the answer for the question who. Therefore, the manager is our subject. Kasi who is for subject. Tama? Next question. What did the manager promise us? What did the manager promise us? Ito na yung object, yung direct object natin. What did the manager promise us? That's correct. A bonus. A bonus. That's our direct object. To whom did the manager promise the bonus? To whom did the manager promise the bonus? Okay, that's correct. Us. So tama ba yung sentence natin? Tama. The question or the sentence number 1 is correct. Question number 2. Okay, or so sentence number 2. Again, answer my question. He wrote down what we wanted and shook hands with ours. He wrote down what we wanted and shook hands with ours. The question is, where is our verb in the sentence? Where is our verb in the sentence? That's correct. Wanted. Wanted. Pero ano rin siya, meron din yung shook hands. Ito yung meron tayong dalawang verb sa sentence. But that's okay, don't be confused. You are correct, wrote. Pwede rin yung shook hands. Next, who wrote? Who wrote down what we wanted? That's our subject. Who wrote down what we wanted? He. You are correct. What did he write down? What did he write down? It's not specified here, but meron tayong clue word. Again, what did he write down? That's correct. What we wanted. That's our direct object. That's our direct object. Okay? Or dito tayo. Kung ang gagamitin natin na verb ay yung pangalawa, who shook hands with us? Who shook hands with ours? Anong sagot dito? He pa rin. Okay? Ang action ay shook hands. Sino ang gumawa ng shook hands? Yung he. Ngayon, meron tayong clue word dito. This is what we call the object of preposition. Meron ba tayong preposition dito? Meron ba tayong preposition dito? Whom did he shake hands with? Sige, ulitin yung question. Whom did he shake hands with? Answer my question. Whom did he shake hands with? Kanino siya nakipag-shake hands? Ours. Okay? And our clue here is with. Therefore, anong sabi natin? Kapag merong with sa sentence, hindi siya pwedeng subject at hindi rin siya pwedeng possessive. Kasi ang ours ay possessive. Ano dapat ito? Ano dapat ang tamang sagot dito? As. That's correct. Okay? So you have to wait. Yan. Balik tayo dito. Ito yung forms ng subject, ito yung forms ng object, ito yung forms ng possessive. Okay? So hindi mo pwedeng pagpalit-palitin yan. So the answer here is, he wrote down what we wanted and shook hands with us. Next. Those chairs were reserved for you and I. Those chairs were reserved for you and I. Sige. What's the answer here? Is the sentence correct? Yes or no? What's the verb in the sentence? What's the verb in the sentence? Were reserved. Diba? Reserved. Were reserved. Who reserved? It's not identified. Diba? Pero for whom was the chairs or were the chairs reserved? For whom? Okay? Dapat yan. For you and I. Pero since meron yung for doon, obviously, mali na yung word natin dito. Kasi ang I ay para lamang sa subject. So hindi mo siya pwedeng lagyan ng for. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na for you and I. Dapat for you and me. For you and me. Okay? Those chairs were reserved for you and me. Next. The board chose Mr. Cruz and she. Ano yung question natin dito? Who or whom? Who or whom? Who did the board choose or whom did the board choose? Oops. Again, kailangan alam ninyo ang tamang question. Okay. The correct question here should be who. The correct question here should be who. Tama ba? Who did the board choose or whom did the board choose? Walang sumasagot. The others are still thinking. Bakit hindi magkaiba ng sagot? Okay, again, ask the correct question. The board chose Mr. Cruz and she. The board chose who? So the correct answer the correct question should be who. Who did the board choose? Mr. Cruz and she. Therefore, this is correct. Tama po yan. Okay, I hope na-realize ng iba. Again, you have to ask the correct question. Who, if that's a subject. Whom, or pwede ring what, if that's an object. Specifically, direct object. Kapag naman indirect object, for whom, to whom. Okay. So, yan. Let's move on to this one. Possessive pronoun case or possessive adjective. Ito naman yung meron tayong ownership. Merong ownership. Sino ang nagmamay-ari? Sino ang nagmamay-ari? Now, one thing that is confusing here is that this could be interchanged with our contractions. Ano ba yung contractions natin? Diba? Ang contractions natin, yung your, na Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. Ang contraction is a combination of two words to make it just one word. Ang contraction natin is a combination of two words to make it two words, gaya ng one word. Gaya ng they are, nagiging there. Ang we are, nagiging were. Okay? That's different from our possessive pronoun and our possessive adjective. Kasi, ang contraction merong apostrophe, ang pronouns walang apostrophe. Take note of that. Ang contraction merong apostrophe, ang pronoun never magkakaroon ng apostrophe. We have here some examples. I found the magazine, but its cover had been torn. I found the magazine, but its cover had been torn. Ano yung subject natin dito? Magazine. I mean, ano yung noun natin dito? Magazine. Kaninong cover? Yung na-torn. Kaninong cover? Yung magazine. So, its cover. Here is our magazine. It is our magazine. Is this phone yours? Is this phone yours? Okay. Kaninong phone? Yours. Kaninong phone yan? Yours. Notice that ang mga words na nandito walang apostrophe. Do not be confused or do not confuse this with contraction. Whose idea was it? Whose idea was it? Yan. Ganyan yung form niya. That is her book. That is her book. Anyway, madali naman ito compared to our direct and indirect object. Now, we have here some examples before we move on to our next topic. So you try the following. Again, you identify if the sentences are correct or not. The famous restaurant is her. The famous restaurant is her. Is this sentence correct or not? Okay, merong mga nagsasabi ng correct, merong mga nagsasabi ng incorrect. Kanino yung restaurant? Sa kanya. Look at the forms. Kapag if the question is kanino, who owns? Kasi ang ating possessive pronoun at possessive adjective, naghahanap siya ng may-ari. Naghahanap siya ng may-ari. So, ang form niya ganito. Ang form niya dapat ganito. If it's a pronoun, usually meron siyang S. Ours, yung mga ganon. So, balik tayo dito. The famous restaurant is hers. Kanino? Yung restaurant, it's hers. So, that should be hers, my S. Again, kailangan nyo lang pong i-memorize ito. Kapag na-memorize nyo ito, kapag alam nyo kung ano yung mga words under subject, under object, and under the possessive cases, then mas madali nyong ma-identify yung mga functions ng mga to. Number 2, these modules are theirs. These modules are theirs. Is this sentence correct? Tama ba yung sentence natin? Okay, tama. So far, yung 5 sumagot, tama yung kanilang sagot. So you are all correct. This sentence is correct. Theirs is the correct answer. Kanino yung module? Sa kanila. Okay, kapag tinanong mo yung kanino in Filipino, sagutin mo na ng English. So kapag sa question, kanino yung module, kanino yung bagay, para mas madaling mo maintindihan, ang isagot mo na ay yung possessive pronoun. So, kanino yung laptop? His. Hers. Kanino yung bag? Kanino yung mga bags na nandun? Theirs. Ganun na kaagad. Kung ang question mo ay kanino. My puppy wiggles its tail whenever I'm around. How about this sentence? My puppy wiggles its tail whenever I'm around. Okay? That's correct. So mali po yung yung sentence na ito because the word it's is contracted. See? Kaya kaya minsan confusing siya kasi pareho lang ng sound. 'Di ba? Pareho lang ng sound ng is, it's at its. So pareho lang ng sound. But if we know that a pronoun doesn't have an apostrophe, then we could identify this immediately na mali ito. So ang tamang sagot dito ay it's. Ang tamang sagot dito ay it's without apostrophe. Okay? Are there questions in this topic before we move on? May questions po ba? Anyway, there will be an activity at the end of all the topics para magets pa natin ang mga ito. Yan lang. So under pronoun, under the cases of pronoun, dapat alam ninyo kung ano itong mga to. Okay? Before we move on to our next topic, sige, 1 minute siguro, 1 minute you can breathe, you can stand. Yung iba nakahiga pa siguro, nakaupo, but let's have a 1 minute to stand, stretch, drink water. Okay? Let's move on to our, I hope you're still okay. Nagigets pa ba? So 1 hour na tayo sa discussion. And this is still on pronouns, but this time it's on pronoun antecedent agreement. Pronoun antecedent agreement. If you remember this, ito yung topic na dapat ang pronoun at yung pronoun at noun pareho ng gender. Yung pronoun at noun pareho ng yung pronoun at noun pareho ng number. Okay? So, let's move on. When we talk about pronoun and its antecedent, we are actually referring to gender, number, or form and case. Okay? When we talk about antecedents, we are referring to gender, number, or and form or case. Let's start with agreement in gender. In language or in pronouns, we have three. We have feminine, we have masculine, and we have, if wala siyang gender, neuter. Feminine, masculine, neuter. So yun yung tatlo natin. We have, ano ba yung mga pronouns that fall under the feminine gender, yung gender na pambabae. So meron tayong she, her, hers, herself. I'm going to show that later on. Kapag naman panlalaki, we are focusing on, yan, meron tayong he, him, his, or himself. Kapag naman neuter, walang kasarian in Filipino, it's itself. We have here some examples. When Carmela met Martin, she gave him a gift. When Carmela met Martin, she gave him a gift. Some of the sentences, meron yung ganito, yung may comma. Parang meron siyang dalawang sentences. We call these clauses in a sentence. So when Carmela met Martin, sino yung mga sinasabi natin dito? We have Carmela, we have Martin. So we have to identify their gender. Dito, hindi pwede ang pilosopo. Kasi ang pilosopo pwede niya sabihin na meron namang Martin na pangalan ng lalaki. Meron ng Lawrence na pangalan ng babae. Again, we are talking about common names. Common names. Na ang common na name, ang Lawrence ay para sa lalaki. Ang Martin ay para sa lalaki. George. Kung ang pangalan na George, di ba? That is for both men and women. Merong mga lalaking may pangalan na George, meron din mga babae. So paano yung ganon? Kaya siguro I have not encountered that in any exam. And pati rin dito sa mga materials na binibigay namin, we try to avoid those. Kasi meron talaga yung pantay lang na pwedeng pambabae, pwedeng panlalaki. Hindi mo naman pwedeng sabihin na neuter siya because George has a gender. Okay? Let's have this example. Carmela, of course, is a name of a girl and Martin is a name of a boy. Therefore, we need a pronoun substitute. So Carmela is she, Martin is him. Again, Carmela is substituted with she, Martin is substituted with him. Medyo madali naman to, di ba? But the meaning of the sentence, is this correct? Yung mga girls ang nagbibigay ng regalo. Well, that depends. The next sentence, Mrs. Pablo was awarded for her generosity. Mrs. Pablo was awarded for her generosity. Again, read the sentences correctly. Read the words correctly. You can be confused. Kaya nito. Nilagay ko ito dito. Well, my intention is really to confuse you. Para alam nyo na kailangan ninyong basahin ng mabuti yung mga words. So we have here Mrs. Pablo. We have here a surname that sounds like a name of a boy. But then look at the title, Mrs. Pablo. Therefore, Mrs. Pablo is a girl, was awarded for her generosity. So is the sentence correct? Tama po yan. Again, agreement in gender. dapat kung ang noun ay babae, dapat babae din ang pronoun. Kapag ang noun ay lalaki, dapat lalaki rin ang pronoun. Kapag wala siyang gender or unidentified yung gender niya, or minsan sa mga hayop, ang ginagamit natin ay neuter. So, the dog wiggles its tail. Kahit na alam natin na yung aso ay babae or lalaki, still we use the neuter, it. Okay? So that we won't be confused. Now we have here some examples. Again, you identify if the sentence is erroneous or not. Mrs. Wesley gave her class a task. Tama ba yung sentence natin? Mrs. Wesley gave her class a task. Okay, this is correct. Mrs. Wesley is our noun and kailangan natin ng isang object. So her at babae siya. So that's correct. The alumna thanked his school for what he has accomplished. Ito pa yung confusing sa mga pronouns. Diba? Sa mga nouns. The alumna thanked his school for what he has accomplished. Okay, so alamin natin, ano ba ang alumna muna? Though a lot of you are saying that this sentence is incorrect, you are all correct. Okay? Because an alumna is referring to a female graduate. Diba? An alumna is referring to a female graduate. An alumnus is referring to a male graduate. Therefore, alumna is a girl or is a female. Dapat ang kanyang mga antecedent, ang kanyang mga pronoun ay her. So, the alumna thanked her school for what she has accomplished. The alumna thanked her school for what she has accomplished. Okay? So this is an error. Dapat her at dapat she. Okay, you are all correct. Next. Apart from the agreement in gender, it's also very important, just like in nouns, to identify the number of our pronouns. Ano ba yung number natin? Pwedeng singular, pwedeng plural. So, it should follow that if the noun is plural, dapat yung ating noun, ating pronoun ay plural din. Kung singular yun naman yung noun natin, dapat singular din yung ating pronoun. Let's have here an example. Frank wanted to see the movie, but he stayed home instead. Frank wanted to see the movie, but he stayed home instead. Again, apart from looking at the number or checking the number of the noun, dapat pareho rin siya ng gender. Okay? So, hindi lang dapat iisang rule or hindi lang dapat iisang agreement ang nag-a-apply sa isang sentence. Lahat. Okay? Some sentences have a lot of rules in them na ina-apply sa kanila. So, dapat i-check ninyo ng mabuti. Dapat agree siya sa kanyang number. Dapat agree siya sa kanyang gender. So, in this case, Frank is a singular since we are referring to number. Ilan ba si Frank? Isa lang niya. So, ano ang substitute natin sa isang lalaki? Then, that's he. He is the correct answer. Therefore, this is the correct sentence. The students submitted their outputs on time. The students submitted their outputs on time. Ano yung subject natin dito? Ano yung noun natin? The students. The students yung noun natin. They submitted their outputs. Ito ang tinatawag natin na pronoun adjective or possessive adjective. Their outputs. Yung pronoun natin parang nagiging adjective siya. But still, the function is pronoun. But that's not our focus. Our focus here is the number. Students ay plural. Ano ba yung pwede natin i-substitute sa plural? There. So, tama yung sentence na ito. Okay. Well, it follows. Kapag student lang po yung ating... okay. Dito na papasok yung confusion siguro. Kapag student lang ang nakalagay dito, submitted, kasi kapag student, it does not have a specific gender. So, ang tamang sagot dito ay his or her. The student submitted his or her outputs on time. Yes. Sir Ken is correct. Though meron tayong irregular nouns na tinatawag, meron tayong regular nouns, meron tayong irregular, number. So kapag students, kapag singular, usually walang S yan. Kapag singular, usually walang S yan. Pero there are words na ang ending niya ay S. So these are some of the considerations. Kapag merong S naman, usually plural. Kapag merong S, usually plural. But there are nouns which we call irregular. Ibig sabihin, nagiging plural siya, pero wala siyang S. Nagpapalit lang po siya ng spelling. Kagaya ng child, children. Walang S yung children, but that's a plural. Okay? We're not going to talk about this. Merong list sa internet. I-check nyo lang yung mga lists ng mga nouns and their plural forms. Makikita nyo doon yung mga irregular pronouns or yung mga irregular nouns. Kagaya ng way to identify if a word is plural is kung meron siyang S. So dito, the students submitted their outputs on time. This is a correct sentence. Tama rin yung the student, kapag walang S yan, submitted his or her outputs on time. So these are two correct sentences. Next. Meron din tayong indefinite pronouns. Meron tayong indefinite pronouns. Ngayon, I need you to listen to this carefully because this could be confusing. And a lot of, from what I remember, kahit sa LET, kahit sa civil service, maraming lumalabas na items on pronoun, indefinite pronoun. So take a look at this one. Meron tayong pronouns na hindi mo alam kung ano yung number niya. Hindi mo alam kung ilan siya. Kasi it is generalizing the people or the things that it is referring to. Kaya lang, kapag nakita nyo ang mga pronouns na ito, anybody, anyone, anything, each, either, everybody, everyone, everything, neither, etc., etc., kahit na anong mangyari, these are singular. Again, once you see this, kahit na anong mangyari, singular ang mga ito. Take note of this. But, meron kasi yung mga sentences na appositive na medyo that or these words confuse us. Pero dito mag-focus muna tayo dito. Again, kapag nakita nyo ang mga ito, kahit na anong mangyari, ang kanyang pronoun or ang kanyang antecedent ay singular. Yan. So each of the boys brought his own tent. This could be confusing because each of the boys, meron namang boys doon. And boys is plural. Pero bakit his? Hindi ba pwedeng their? Okay, hindi po. Kasi nga, kapag meron ito, each, we are referring to the boys individually. Yun yung ibig sabihin niya, individually. We are referring to the boys individually or we are referring to the subject individually. Kaya nga sabi ko kahit na anong mangyari, dapat singular yung mga yan. One of the girls left her wallet in the cafeteria. One of the girls left her wallet in the cafeteria. Okay? So in this case, pareho lang siya. Kung merong one dito, which is included here, kahit na anong mangyari, this is singular or this should be singular. So these two are correct sentences. Everyone, for example, is usually an error in a sentence. Everyone submitted their outputs. Mali po yon. Kasi ang everyone, you are not referring to all the students in class. Rather, you are referring to them individually. So everyone is singular. So dapat everyone is or everyone submitted his or her. Okay? And pati itong mga ibang pronouns na yan. Meron din, kung meron tayong singular pronouns, we also have here plural pronouns na the same kahit na anong mangyari, kahit saan mo sila ilagay, dapat plural sila or plural yung kanilang antecedent. Such as this example. Both of the debaters persuasively presented their arguments. Both. Several of these coins are worth more than their face values. Again, there, because of the word several, at dahil na rin coins yon. Pero again, kung meron kayo nakitang ganitong sentences, focus on these words. Kasi kapag nakita nyo ito, automatic na yan na plural yan. At ito naman, once you see this, automatic na na singular ang kailangan mo. Okay? The next one, the next antecedent is on compound subjects. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, na meron tayong subjects na hindi lang siya isang word. They could be 3, they could be 4, they could be 2. And the most compound subjects are joined by the word end. Kapag nakita mo ang word na end at meron siyang pinagdugtong, automatic na yan na plural unless they are referring to just one. Pero common naman na plural yan. So Joy and Mara are ready for their wedding. Jay and Mara, we are referring to two people here. Therefore, we need their. Next one. The bag and the wallet still have their original hardware. The bag and the wallet still have their original hardware. Okay, so I have here the bag and the wallet. This is our subject, or these are our nouns. Then we have here our substitute or the pronoun there. Again, once you see a sentence at meron siyang end, automatic na plural yan. But there are cases na kapag ang end, there are cases na ang end nagdudugtong ng dalawang words but singular siya. For example, my secretary and my girlfriend is Mara. Yung two words na yon are referring to just one. My girlfriend and my secretary is Mara. Yung girlfriend ko ay secretary ko rin. Okay? Pero don't be confused. Madalang naman yon. I hope. Pero usually kapag end, what you have or what you should think is dapat pareho or dapat plural siya. Yes, Ma'am Maridet, if they are referring to one person or the same person or the same thing, kapag singular po yun. Next, meron din tayong compound subjects which are joined by nor or or. Unlike and, na ang kailangan natin dito ay plural, dito nakadepende sa kung ano ang pinakamalapit sa kanya. Nakadepende sa pronoun or nakadepende sa pinakamalapit sa kanya. Let's have this as an example. Either the principal or the student or the teachers neglected their duties. Either the principal or the teachers neglected their duties. So, meron tayong dalawang subject dito. This is a compound subject. Principal, teachers. Principal, teachers. Okay? It is joined by or. Ngayon, ang gagawin natin dito, hanapin natin yung subject na mas malapit sa pronoun. Siyempre, mas malapit, this is as a complete sentence, hindi yung ganito. So, either the principal or the teachers. Of course, teachers ay mas malapit sa there. Therefore, this sentence is correct. Because teachers is plural, there is a plural pronoun. This sentence is correct. Kapag binaliktad natin, either the teachers or the principal now is nearer to the pronoun. Therefore, this is our reference. Dito tayo magre-refer. Principal is a singular. Therefore, we need a singular pronoun. So, his or her. His or her. So, these sentences are correct. Kapag collective nouns naman as antecedents, meron tayong collective nouns kasi. And this is also one of the causes of confusion. Kapag ang technique dito, okay, ano bang collective nouns muna? Ang collective nouns, ito yung mga words, ito ang mga tawag sa grupo ng mga nouns. Tawag sa grupo ng mga tao, tawag sa grupo ng mga animals. Pero usually for collective nouns as antecedents, grupo ng tao yan. So we have board, class, committee, company, family, school group, jury, panel, college, team, society. If you notice, these are names of groups. These are names of groups. Okay? Ngayon, kapag ang mga words na ito pare-pareho ng ginagawa, nagde-decide ng minsanan, they are acting as one, they are functioning as one, kailangan natin ng singular. Again, if these collective nouns are functioning as one, iisa yung decision nila, pare-pareho yung gagawin nila, pare-pareho yung opinion nila, then they are acting as one. Therefore, kailangan natin ng singular na pronoun. Kailangan natin ng singular na pronoun. Kagaya nito, the class elected its officers. We all know that in one class, there are a lot of students. And yet, meron tayo ditong its na singular. But this sentence is correct because the clock or the class is acting as one. They are performing one thing, which is they are electing their officers. So its is the correct answer. The jury reached its decision. The jury reached its decision. Again, a jury is a group of judges. A jury is a group of judges. There could be 4, 5, 10 judges in one competition maybe. That's a lot of people. And yet, kailangan pa rin natin ng singular na pronoun dito because this or they are acting as one. They reach their decision. So, iisa. Iisa yung ginagawa nila. So, the jury reached its decision. This is correct. Next. On the other hand, if these words or if these collective nouns are not functioning as one, they are doing different things. They are individually identified. They are having an argument. They don't have the same opinion. They are in disagreement. Then you need a plural pronoun. Kagaya nito. The class ate their lunches. Okay? Though pare-pareho sila ng ginagawa, we all know that it is common na ang isang klase do not stay in just one class and eat in one plate, eat the same food, etc., etc. They have their different foods. Some are in the cafeteria maybe, some are in the canteen, some are in the classrooms. So we need a plural pronoun. The class ate their lunches. And also, our lunches here is in its plural form. Kaya there ang sagot dyan. The jury argued among themselves. Again, ang clue natin, when do we use collective nouns as a pronoun, as a plural? Kapag merong argument, kapag merong disagreement, kapag merong hindi pagkapare-pareho ng opinion, such as this one, there is an argument among the judges, among the jury, therefore themselves ang tamang sagot. The jury argued among themselves. Okay? I hope that you can still follow. So, tama yung mga sentences na ito. Apart from agreement in gender and agreement in number, we also have agreement in form and case. Ito yung cases ng pronouns natin na diniscuss nating nauna. So I'm not going to expound on this anymore. Ito yung nauna nating diniscuss. Yung subjective, objective, and possessive case. Okay? Apart from these different agreements, this is one thing that are usually this is one thing that is usually difficult among the students that I have handled before. Actually, hanggang ngayon, meron ding ibang taong nahihirapan pa rin dito. When we are comparing, we have comparisons than or as. Comparison, than, or as. And when you are comparing a subject to a subject. Diba? You are comparing a subject to its fellow subject. Hindi mo pwedeng i-compare ang isang subject sa isang object. Let's take example number 1. Jack is taller than I. Again, this is comparison. Jack is taller than I. Is this sentence correct? Yes. Kasi Ganyan ang form ng comparisons natin. Dapat kung ano yung kino-compare mo na subject, ganun din yung i-compare mo. Dapat subject din siya. Okay? So, kasi pwede nating sabihin that Jack is taller than me. Di ba? Yun yung common nating naririnig. Jack is taller than me. But then, this is a comparison than and as. So, kailangan natin ng subject pa rin. Okay? Kasi if we complete this sentence, sabihin natin, Jack is taller than I am. So, I ang kailangan natin. In this second example, we valued no other employee more than she. If we complete this sentence, we valued no other employee more than she is. Diba? So, ito is a sentence and is a comparison. So, kailangan pa rin natin ng pareho ang i-compare natin. She is, we ang ating subject and it is a subject, tama? And so, kailangan din natin ng she na pwedeng i-compare sa kanya. She cooks better than he. She cooks better than he. Again, this is a comparison. She cooks better than he does. Diba? Ganyan yung complete sentence niya. Pero this is already a sentence. Therefore, he is correct. He is still correct. Again, I'd like you to focus on the form. Ano bang itsura ng sentence kapag merong comparison? Ano bang itsura ng sentence kapag merong subject? Ano ang itsura ng sentence kapag meron siyang direct object? Para kung nakita nyo na ito sa exam ninyo in the civil service at mali yung pagkakagamit niya, automatic na yan. That you know, ay mali ito, ay tama ito. Diba? So you know the form. It's okay to memorize, but again, it's more important that you know how to arrive at the answers. Okay. Are there questions under antecedents, pronoun antecedents, before we move on to our last topic? And in our last topic, we will be talking about the tenses of verbs. Okay? Kung wala, let me just reiterate that in your pronoun antecedent agreement, kailangan yung alamin kung sino yung sinasubstitute. Sino yung sinasubstitute ng pronoun. So dito, sino ang sinasubstitute ng pronoun? Na she, si Carmela. So tama ba? Tama. So gawin lang. Parang you interact with the sentences. You interact with the items. Kausapin yung sarili nyo. It does not make you crazy. Kasi ganyan yung technique, di ba? Kailangan mong kausapin. Kontrahin mo ang sarili mo kung kaya mo. Kasi we have a tendency na kapag nakita natin yung isang item and parang nakita ko na ito dati. Parang automatic na, ay, ito yung sagot. But then meron palang changes. So still we have to know how to again ask the correct question so we will arrive to the correct answers. Dito naman sa ating cases of pronoun, Ang importante na dapat alam natin doon sa cases of pronouns ay kung ano ang subject, how to determine the subject, how to determine the object. Okay? So, before moving on to the tenses of verbs, kasi medyo ito yung last na topic natin. We can have maybe a 2-minute break. 2-minute break para makapag CR, makapag present perfect progressive, past perfect progressive, and future perfect progressive. When I was trying to discuss this, when I was practicing on how to present this topic to you online, it's confusing to still add present perfect progressive and the rest of the perfect progressives. Kaya we're not going to discuss it in toto or in depth. Bibigyan ko lang kayo ng idea kung ano. Again, kailangan ninyong maintindihan muna. You have to know first, you have to understand first. The simple present, because from the word itself, it is the simplest. You won't understand the more complicated ones if you do not understand the simple present. So we have here the present simple or simple present. We have here some descriptions, we have some examples, and we have some indicators. Just note or just be reminded that not all sentences have these indicators. At hindi rin ibig sabihin na kapag meron ito, automatic na simple present siya. You still have to read the sentence and analyze if the use of these indicators is appropriate to the simple present form. But again, some simple present tenses use this one. Yung ibang sentences naman wala. But they are still simple present tense. One way to identify if a sentence or if a verb is in its simple present is kung habitual siya. Anong ibig sabihin ng habitual? It's a habit, di ba? Yun yung palagi ang ginagawa. Yun yung nakasanayang ginagawa. Yun yung lagi mong nakikita. Yun yung practice. So if something is a practice, if something is a habit, then we use a simple present tense. Ano bang simple present? Usually, ang verb natin under simple present is the base form. The base form. Or pwede rin na kapag plural siya, may S. Kapag singular siya, walang S. Okay? So ang technique dito, ang isa pang dapat ninyong i-keep in mind, please take note of this. I don't have this in my PowerPoint. One clue, pero not all sentences to. One clue, kapag plural siya, kapag plural ang noun mo or kapag plural ang subject, may S. Usually may S. Kapag plural ang subject, may S. Kapag plural ang verb, walang S. Kapag plural ang subject, I'm going to type. Just see your chat box. Plural subject. Ang kasama niya ay plural noun, ay plural verb rather. Ano ba ito? Ano ba yung form nila? Ang plural subject may S. Ang plural verb walang S. On the other hand, ang singular subject usually walang S. Ang singular subject ay singular subject plus singular verb. Ang form nila walang S plus may S. Okay. Please look at the chat box. Minsan confusing yan, but please try to understand because it's important. There are a lot of tenses that usually comes out in a civil service exam. This is also used in subject-verb agreements and in error identification. Kaya kailangan nyong i-memorize na kapag ang laging magka-partner ay plural subject at plural verb. Ang laging magka-partner, plural subject at plural verb. Ang plural subject usually may S. Pero meron din tayong mga irregular subject, yun ang sinasabi ko na children. Ang kapartner niya ay plural verb. Ang plural verb natin, walang S. Ang plural verb natin, walang S. Ang singular subject naman natin ay usually walang S. At ang ang singular verb natin, usually may S. Okay? But be careful with the irregular verbs at irregular nouns kasi meron silang, baka malito kayo doon. Anyway, sabi natin dito, ang simple present ay habitual. Gaya nito. Neil always enters his class early. Neil always enters his class early. Ano yung pinag-uusapan natin dito? Ano yung subject natin? Si Neil. Si Neil ba ay plural or singular? Please listen to how I treat the sentences. Listen to how I ask the questions. It's how you arrive to the correct answers. Sino ba ang subject natin dito? Si Neil. Is Neil plural or singular? Singular. Therefore, ano ang kailangan natin? Singular verb. Ang enters ba ay singular verb? Yes. Therefore, this sentence is correct. Diba? Ganun lang siya. I go to mass every Sunday. Ano yung subject dito? I. Ano yung verb? Go. Ano yung I? Plural singular. It is singular. Ano yung go? It is plural. But this sentence is correct. Because take note, first personal pronoun I and you, which is a third personal pronoun, second person pronoun, these two should take a plural verb. I'm going to type this in the chat box. I and you should take a plural verb. This is an exemption to the rule. Okay, this is an exemption to the rule. Na kapag meron kayong I or you, ang kailangan mo ay plural na verb. Okay? Pero kapag normal naman na subject, gaya nito, Neil or my mother, ang kailangan mo ay singular pa rin. My mother waters her plants in the morning. It's habitual. Sinasabi niya na ang nanay niya ay nagdidilig ng mga halaman in the morning. So maybe this is every morning. Kaya, waters. Ano ang subject natin dito? Si mother. Ano ang verb natin? Waters. Si mother ba ay plural or singular? Singular. Si waters, plural, singular. Singular. Is this sentence correct? Yes. Okay. Ito. Nagets ba yung habitual? Sige, dito tayo. I am a teacher. I am a teacher. I is plural, is singular. Am, ito lagi naman yung kadugtong ito. I am a teacher. This is an unchanging truth kasi. Or this is a statement of fact. Therefore, this is correct. Pero kung ang iniisip mo ay nagtapos na yung pagiging teacher mo, then I was a teacher few years ago, 3 years ago. Yun ay kapag past tense. Pero dito, kapag unchanging truth siya, it is the reality in the present, then this is a correct sentence. He goes to La Union or he goes to school in La Union. He goes to school in La Union. Is this sentence correct? Tama po yan. Is this a statement of fact? Yes. So, he, ano yung subject natin dito? He. Ano yung verb natin? Goes. Si he ba plural or singular? It's singular. Ang goes ba plural or singular? It's singular. Is the sentence correct? Yes. Okay? Magandang practice yon, di ba? Tanungin mo muna kung ano yung subject at ano yung verb. After asking the subject and the verb, you identify if the verb and the subject are plural or singular. Dapat pareho sila. Kung plural si subject, dapat plural din si verb. Kung singular si subject, dapat singular din si verb. Meron din tayong historical facts. William Shakespeare is the author of Romeo and Juliet. Bakit po is? Patay naman na si William Shakespeare. Diba? William Shakespeare is the author of the Romeo and Juliet. Tama, patay na si William Shakespeare. Diba sabi natin kapag patay na ang isang tao, dapat ang verb natin ay was. Pero in this case, this is a fact na kahit na anong mangyari, si William Shakespeare ang author ng Romeo and Juliet. Kahit 50 years from now, 50 years in the future, kahit wala na tayong lahat, si William Shakespeare pa rin ang author ng Romeo and Juliet. That is an unchanging truth. Therefore, is ang kailangan natin. Okay? I hope that you're getting it. Sige nga, I'll give you an example. Refer to the chat box. I sent to you an example or a sample sentence in our chat box. Ngayon, you answer my questions. Okay? Sino ang subject natin? This is how you treat. That's correct. Sino ang subject natin? Si Mark. Ano ang verb natin? What's the verb in the sentence? That's correct. Okay? It's good that you know how to identify. Ngayon, si Mark ba, plural or singular? Okay, that's correct. Singular. Si it's plural or singular? Si it's plural or singular? That's correct. Singular verb siya. Therefore, tama ba yung sentence natin? Is the sentence correct? Yes, very good. Okay, how about this sentence? These parents okay. These parents walk their children every day. Saan yung subject natin? Very good. Our subject is parents. Ano yung verb natin? Where's our verb? Verb po. Verb is the action word. Or verb is the linking verb in a sentence. Very good. Walks. Ang parents ba plural or singular? Ang parents ba plural or singular? Parents, plural or singular? Very good. It is plural. How about walks? Plural or singular? Walks. Plural or singular? Wag po kayo malito ha. Again, ang plural na subject usually may S. Ang plural na verb walang S. Okay? Ang plural na verb walang S. So my question is, ang walks ba ay plural or singular? Ang walks ba ay plural or singular? Walks, plural or singular? Okay, very good. Walks is singular. So ang question natin dito, ang sentence natin dito, meron tayong parents na plural at meron tayong walks na singular. Tama ba yung sentence natin? Meron tayong parents na plural at meron tayong walks na singular. Tama ba? Very good. Mali. Mali po yung sentence natin. Ano yung tamang sentence natin? Ano dapat yung tamang word? That should be walk. Very good. So these parents walk their children every day. Very good. Okay? I hope nakukuha din natin. Medyo madali pa lang ito. Okay? Let's move on. We have here our present perfect tense. Present perfect tense. To identify a present perfect tense, ito yung mga descriptions natin. Ang present perfect tense natin or gagamitin natin ang present perfect tense if an event, I'm referring to the verb, if the verb began in the past and may be completed in the present. So there is a possibility that what started in the past continues up to the present or is completed in the present. Okay? Merong connection kung present perfect tayo. Merong connection ang past at present sa present perfect. Okay? Example, meron tayong indicators dito. Kapag nakita nyo ito, usually, again, I'm using the word usually, not all the time. Okay? Ang ibig sabihin kapag usually, hindi lahat. Madalas lang na ginagamit. Okay? Yung mga indicators na ito. Kapag nakita nyo ito, usually or madalas na ginagamit, ito sa present perfect. Ngayon, merong connection. An event that began in the past and may be completed in the present. The family has lived in New York for 6 months. Okay? Notice, ang perfect tense natin, merong has, have, and had. Ang perfect tense natin, merong has, have, and had. Pero for present perfect, Has and have lang siya. Has for singular, have for plural. The family has lived in New York for 6 months. The family has lived in New York for 6 months. Anong ibig sabihin ng sentence na ito? 6 months ago, nagsimulang manirahan sa New York ang pamilyang ito. Hanggang ngayon, nakatira pa rin sila sa New York. Okay? Maaaring magtapos yung paninirahan nila sa New York at present. Okay? Merong possibility na magtutuloy pa rin. Okay? But the thing here is, merong nangyari noon na tuloy pa rin hanggang ngayon. Maaaring mag-stop ngayon pero merong connection ang past at present. Okay? So yan yun. Next. It was completed in the past but the specific time of the event is not stated. Ibig sabihin, nagsimula noon pero hindi specified kung kailan. I have seen that movie before. I have seen that movie before. Ang nasabi lang dito, before. Kailan yung before? Walang na-state na date or walang na-state na year. So, dito, ang gagamitin natin ay present perfect. Present perfect. Okay, I have seen that movie before. Nakita ko na yung movie na yan, pero hindi ko alam kung anong specific na date. Doon tayo gamit ng present perfect. I have already visited Palawan. I have already visited Palawan. Again, there is no specific date, pero nakabisit na ako sa Palawan. Okay? Makatitigan na lang kung ano yung structure ng sentence. For our present perfect, ito ang ating formula. For our present perfect, this is our formula. So meron tayong has or have, depende sa number ng subject natin or ng verb natin, followed by our past participle. Ito yung mga past participle natin. Meron tayong mga verbs na past tense na pareho sa past participle. Meron din yung ibang hindi pareho. You can just research that in the internet. Ano yung mga verbs na past participle? Okay? Continuation under present perfect. An activity has been repeated several times before now. So, ang activity na yon or yung verb na yon ay paulit-ulit na nangyari bago ngayon. Example, we have visited Baguio many times. So, kung paulit-ulit na nangyari siya bago ngayon, then we are going to use a present perfect. We are going to use a present perfect tense. Have visited. Next. The clue has been mentioned many times already. The clue has been mentioned many times already. So, ibig sabihin nito, nabanggit yung clue maraming beses na. So, if yun yung activity, yun yung verb na paulit-ulit na nasabi, paulit-ulit na nangyari bago ngayon. That's the structure of our sentence. Another way to present present perfect is if something is very recently completed before now. An event is very recently completed before now. Example, my mother has just given me my allowance. My mother has just given me my allowance. Mabibigay lang. Notice that the use of the word just is also emphasized here. It helps in identifying the present perfect tense. She has just finished her test. She has just finished her test. Alam ko medyo nawiwindang pa kayo ngayon kung ano yung nangyayari dito, but I just want you to or I just want to familiarize you with the form of the sentences under present perfect. Mas maintindihan ninyo to through the examples that I will give after this discussion. Okay? So yan ang form ng ating present perfect. Okay? Ano bang present perfect natin? Mayroong connection. Opo, nakakalito po talaga. But we have some examples later on to make you understand this better. Balik po tayo. Present perfect, merong connection ang past at present. Present perfect, merong connection ang past at present. For example, in this sentence, ano yung connection? The connection is that the family has lived in New York 6 months ago. So 6 months ago, tumira yung pamilya sa New York. Okay? Tumira yung pamilya sa New York. Hanggang ngayon, nakatira pa rin sila doon. Hanggang ngayon, nakatira pa rin sila doon. That is a present perfect. Kaya has lived. Okay? I have seen that movie before. Yan. Nakita ko na yung movie na yan dati, pero hindi specific yung time. Okay? Let's move on. Ito naman ang present progressive. Sa present progressive, this is our formula. Is or are plus verb in its ing form. Is and are plus verb in its ing form. So dito na pumapasok yung is answering, is closing, is living, are listening. Okay? So we have here some descriptions. How do we determine or when do we use a progressive tense, a present progressive tense? If an event is occurring right now, give me 1 minute. Yung boses ko. And just drink water. Okay. When do we use a present progressive? We have here some of the descriptions. We are going to use a present progressive tense if an event is occurring right now. Take note of these indicators. These indicators identify, or these indicators indicate, I'm using the same word, indicate that something is happening at the moment. Kasi ang word na progressive ay nangyayari sa kasalukuyan. Nangyayari sa kasalukuyan. So, if you research this in the internet or in other books, ang word na progressive ay maaari rin na continuous. But I'm just using progressive kasi mas common siya. Ibig sabihin, something is happening right now. And it is present progressive kasi kasalukuyan siyang nangyayari ngayon at this moment as we speak, sa oras na ito, at this month. Okay? This month, this year. Yun yung ating indicators. Example, she is not answering my calls now. She might be sleeping. Okay? Ano yung kasalukuyang nangyayari ngayon? Yung hindi niya pagsagot sa tawag ko. Baka natutulog siya. So she is not answering my calls now. She might be sleeping. Okay? Another way to use progressive form or present progressive form is when something is occurring in the present but is temporary. Merong nangyayari ngayon na pwedeng sooner or later magbabago. Kasi nga temporary lang siya. Just like this one, which is very timely. Some provinces are closing their borders, but they might open soon. Okay? Some provinces are closing their borders, but they might open soon. Diba ganyan naman yung nangyayari ngayon? Open and close ang ating mga borders. Ngayon, this is something that's happening now, are closing their borders. Yung mga provinces natin are closing their borders. Pero, it is temporary. Kasi may possibility na mag-open pa siya. Maybe in 7 weeks or in 7 days, in 14 days. Diba ganun naman usually. Pati yung mga quarantine natin. So take note, our closing is our present progressive. Next, John is living in India, but he will move next year. Diba? If you are watching current events, yung mga nangyayari ngayon sa India and in other parts of or in other countries, diba? Grabe. So we have to pray for them and we have to pray for our country as well. So John is living in India, but he will move next year. Currently, John is in India. He is living there. Pero, maaaring next year, dahil na rin siguro sa sitwasyon, mag-move na siya. Maybe he will return to Philippines if he is a Filipino. But this is the structure. Again, I need you to focus on the structure. Para alam ninyo ang structure or ang itsura ng isang present progressive tense. Yan siya. We also use present progressive if something is changing or developing at this moment or as we speak or right now. Ano ba ang development? Kaya nito. She is writing a poem. So ngayon, merong development sa kanyang sinusulat. She is writing a poem. They are listening to the lecture. May development. Maaring marami na silang narinig. Maaring marami na silang natutunan. Maaring dumami pa yung confusion. I'm referring to this discussion. But I hope that you are learning. And there is development based on what you are listening. Okay, so yan. Kanyan po ang itsura ng ating mga present progressive. Next. Meron din tayong simple past tense. Balik tayo dito. Ito ang confusing. Kasi ang simple past tense ay medyo similar sa present perfect tense. Merong similarity ang simple past tense at present perfect tense. Ang difference lang nila, 'di ba, sa ating present perfect tense, walang specific na date or walang specific na time. Whereas dito sa ating simple past tense, merong specific na time. Again, ang difference natin, gagamit tayo ng present perfect tense kung walang specific time. Pero kapag simple past tense, merong specific time. Kagaya nito, last night, last week, last year, last month, and etc. So dito, kung sa ating present perfect tense, yung event nagsimula dati, tumuloy ngayon, dito naman sa simple past tense, yung event nangyari noon at nagtapos na noon. Example, my package arrived a month ago. Ano yung nangyari a month ago? Dumating yung package ko. So arrived ang gagamitin natin. Kasi nga, past tense na, nangyari na siya. Yung pag-arrive ng package ko ay nangyari na a month ago, one time. Okay, so we are going to use a past tense, a simple past tense. Arrive. Okay, I'm going to show to you a summary of the movement later on. Kung paanong yung ating present verb ay nagiging past or nagiging present perfect, etc., etc. Another example, Miss Cortez was visited by her parents yesterday. Again, our clue here, our specific date here is yesterday. Ibig sabihin, nangyari na. Therefore, ang ginamit natin ay was visited. This is our past tense. Simple past tense. Yan po ang form ng ating simple past tense. Another way to present simple past tense, kapag it is now completed and no longer true in the present. Okay? Nangyari noon and hindi na tumuloy hanggang ngayon. Nangyari noon and it stops there. Once lang siyang nangyari at hindi na siya totoo ngayon. Example, my relatives attended my graduation in 2016. My relatives attended my graduation in 2016. Okay? Ano yung clue natin dito in 2016? Yung date ba o yung year ba na 2016 tapos na? Yes. Therefore, attended ang gagamitin natin. Attended ang gagamitin natin. It is a past tense. Kasi nga, nangyari na siya. I traveled to different places when there were no restrictions. Nako, I really miss going to different places because of CBRC or Carl Balita Review Center. So, galingan ninyo, malay nyo, when you pass the civil service exam, Carl Balita Review Center will get you as one of the reviewers. Ang dami pong travel dyan. Kaya lang ngayon, well, we have this pandemic, so there are a lot of restrictions, so we cannot travel. But in this sentence, we are referring to something that happened before, and it is not true now. That cannot happen today because of the restrictions. So I traveled to the different places when there were no restrictions. Traveled is correct kasi nga past tense siya. Hindi na siya totoo ngayon. It's 11:21. Please allow me to make my discussion. Papakain po ako pag may ipasa ang CS. Sure po, Miss Maria Lynn. May magpapakain daw. Please allow me to make this discussion faster. Mas maintindihan nyo naman ito kapag meron tayong mga examples. So I have some activities or some examples at the end of this discussion. Pero ganito ang form ng isang simple present tense or simple past tense. Ito po ang form niya. Merong specific na date. Natapos na siya last year, last month, last Saturday, kaya hindi na po magtutuloy. Therefore, past tense na yung kailangan natin na verb. Past perfect, this is similar with the present perfect, kaya lang nagkakaiba. Kasi sa simple present, dito na ako. Sa present perfect natin, sa present perfect natin, nagsimula noon, nagtuloy hanggang ngayon. Ang past perfect naman natin, nagsimula noon, natapos rin noon. Hindi na tumuloy ngayon. Kaya nga meron tayong verbs dito na past. Lahat ng mga verbs natin sa past perfect ay past tense. Ang formula natin ito, had. So had, tapos yung past participle. Completed events that took place in the past before another past, just like this one. The student had received many warnings before he was suspended for 3 days. The student had received many warnings before he was suspended for 3 days. Merong nangyaring event bago yung nangyari. Merong nangyari bago yung nangyari. There are 2 events that happened in the past. In Filipino, merong nangyari bago merong nangyari. The student had received. Ano yung unang nangyari? Naka-receive siya ng maraming warnings. Ano yung pangalawang past tense na nangyari? Na-suspend siya. Okay? There are 2 events that happened in the past. merong nangyari bago merong nangyari. I'm using nangyari because that's a past tense. Okay? I had already eaten the cake when my mom told me that it was not mine. Diba? Na-experience nyo na ba ito? I had already eaten. Yun yung unang nangyari. So nakain ko na yung pagkain or yung cake bago nasabi ng nanay ko na hindi pala para sa akin yon. Okay? Baka para sa bisita siguro. Kasi di ba, may mga jokes na ang nanay mas mahal pa ang bisita. But of course, that's not true. Ang nangyaring una ay nakain ko yung cake, kaya I had already eaten. Pangalawang nangyari, sinabi ng nanay ko na hindi para sa akin yon. Merong dalawang events na nangyari in the past. My niece had called the police before I came. So meron sigurong nangyaring pagnanakaw. So yung aking pamangkin na babae, natawagan na niya yung mga police bago pa ako nakarating. So there are two events that happened in the past. We have here our past progressive. Past progressive. An event is continuously in progress around a time in the past. Merong event na nangyayari around some time in the past. Okay? Or merong nangyayari in the past. Example, she was watering the plants when the taxi arrived. Ano yung ginagawa niya? Ano yung ginagawa niya noong dumating yung taxi? Two events pa rin ito. Past tense. Kaya lang yung isang event ay nangyayari in the past. Ano yung event na yon? Yung was worth watering. Ano yung ginagawa niya noong dumating yung taxi? She was watering the plants. Okay? The students were eating while the teacher was talking. Ngayong distance learning, very common na ito. So may mga students na kumakain. The students were eating, yun yung unang nangyayari. It is currently happening in the past while the teacher was talking. So yung teacher ay nagsasalita. Nangyayari yun siya in the past. It was in progress at the specific point of time in the past. We were watching the boxing match around 7 p.m. last night. Remember our formula na kapag past progressive siya, was or were plus verb in its ing form. Was or were plus verb in its ing form. We were watching the boxing match around 7 p.m. last night. We were watching the boxing match around 7 p.m. last night. Ganyan po yung form ng ating past progressive. Kapag simple future tense naman, ang formula natin dito ay will or is going to. Yung word na will, kapareho po niya yung is going to. Kaya huwag po kayong malilito kung merong is going to. Kasi pareho lang siya sa will. Hindi po siya present. It will still happen in the future. So when do we use our present or our simple future tense? Kapag ang action ay mangyayari pa lang in the future. Example, the students will graduate in June 2022. Okay, merong specific na date dito. Kailan sila gagraduate? Sa June 2022. Tapos na ba yung event? Hindi pa. Mangyayari pa lang ba yung event? Oo. Therefore, kung mangyayari pa lang yung event, kailangan natin ng future tense. Gaya ng will graduate. Will graduate. Okay? Some of the indicators, meron tayong tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, etc. Jenna is going to get her salary next week. Jenna is going to get her salary next week. So meron tayong clue dito, next week. Ano yung gagawin ni Jenna next week? Kukunin niya yung kanyang sahod. And speaking of sahod, siguro meron na tayong mga sahod, di ba? Katapusan na naman. So, may good news. We will open the borders next Sunday. Is this sentence correct? Or a simple present tense? Yes. We will open the borders next Sunday. Kailan nila i-open yung borders? Next Sunday. Kaya will open ang tamang sagot. These sentences are correct. I'm showing you correct sentences so that you know the form. Okay? So that you know the form. Meron din tayong future perfect tense. Future perfect tense, an event will occur before some future time. An event will occur before some future time. Example, my friends will have finished dinner before the game starts. So merong dalawang events na mangyayari pa lang in the future. Merong dalawang events na mangyayari pa lang in the future. My friends will have finished dinner. Yun yung unang mangyayari pa lang before the game starts. Nag-start na ba yung game? Hindi pa. Mangyayari pa lang yung ating game. So merong mangyayari bago mangyari yung isang bagay. Merong mangyayari bago may mangyari. This is different from merong nangyari bago may nangyari. So dito naman, merong mangyayari bago merong mangyayari. Kasi nga future perfect tense siya. We will have received the trophy by the time you arrive tomorrow. Ano yung unang mangyayari? Yung pag-receive ko ng trophy. Ano yung pangalawang mangyayari pa lang? Yung arrival. So there are two events that will still happen in the future. Ano yung formula natin dito? Will plus have plus past participle. Remember that whenever you see the word perfect, dapat laging meron siyang have, has, or had. Have, has, or had. Okay? Next, she will have spoken to the culprit before the police arrives. She will have spoken to the culprit before the police arrives. Ano yung unang mangyayari pa lang? Will have spoken. Ano pa yung isang mangyayari pa lang? Yung arrival ng mga police. Okay? So yan. Ganyan po ang form ng ating future perfect tense. And this is the last one, future progressive. Ang formula naman natin dito will be plus verb plus ing. Will be plus verb plus ing. Yung event naman ay kasalukuyang nangyayari sa future. Kasalukuyang nangyayari sa future. So ini-imagine mo siya as if it is happening pero sa future siya. They will be arriving tomorrow. Ano yung mangyayari? They will be arriving tomorrow. I will be teaching English at 2 p.m. this afternoon. Yung word na afternoon, nangyari na ba? Hindi pa. Mamaya pa lang. I will be teaching English at 2 p.m. this afternoon. The students will be celebrating their success by the end of this year. The students will be celebrating their success by the end of this year. So ano yung mangyayari? Will be celebrating. Mangyayari pa lang in the future. Okay? Medyo confusing siya, medyo mabilis siya, but when we go to the sentences, I hope you can identify. Ngayon, ito ang tingnan ninyo. I will leave this to you for maybe 2 minutes before we go to the activities. Ito po ang summary. Ito po ang summary ng kung paanong ang isang verb ay nagiging present, nagiging past, nagiging future, hanggang sa maging present progressive siya at hanggang sa maging present perfect progressive siya. So I'll leave you for 2 minutes. Pwede niyong tignan, pwede niyong i-analyze while we have our 2-minute break. Okay, let's talk about this summary. Wait lang, yung glasses. Look at how a verb changes based on its tense. Okay? So meron tayong present simple progressive. Ganito po yan basahin. Present simple. Present simple. Past simple. Future simple. Present natin, I sleep. Tapos naging present perfect siya, I have slept. Kapag naging progressive, I'm sleeping. Kapag naging present perfect progressive, I have been sleeping. I slept, naging I had slept, I was sleeping, I had been sleeping. I'll sleep, meaning I will sleep. I will have slept, I will be sleeping, I will have been sleeping. I'm going to sleep, I'm going to be sleeping. Ngayon, ganyan po yung form niya. Kanina sinabi ko that I will not be discussing perfect progressive. Diba? Sobrang haba na nito. Combination na siya ng dalawa. Ito, this perfect progressive have the same rules with perfect tense. They have the same rules with perfect tense. Ang only difference lang ito is something that's happening at the moment. Ito naman ay merong nangyayaring kasalukuyan sa past. Ito naman merong mangyayari pa lang in the future. Okay? So but they have the same rules, somewhat similar rules. Kaya nga medyo confusing. For example, dito, I have slept, I have been sleeping. Ano ang difference ng present perfect tense sa present perfect progressive? Dito, merong isang bagay na nagsimula noon, tumuloy hanggang ngayon. Maaari ding or meron ding possibility na titigil na siya ngayon. Kasi di ba, one of our rules in present perfect is if something is temporary. Dito naman sa present perfect progressive, merong isang bagay or event na nagsimula noon hanggang ngayon, tumutuloy pa rin hanggang sa future. Okay? There is no evidence of stopping. Kaya ng I have been sleeping. Kailan titigil yon? Okay? It is continuously happening. But I will not confuse you anymore with this one, with this present perfect progressive. Ang importante is you know the forms of these different tenses. Ngayon, ito na, ang error identification. Again, we are going to utilize our chat box. Itong, I have here a 20-item test. You are to identify the sentence is correct. Kung correct yung sentence, sabihin nyo lang po sa ating chat box na yes or correct. Tapos, kung mali po yung sentence natin, you identify the word that or phrase that makes it erroneous, tapos ilagay nyo sa tabi niya yung kanyang tamang sagot, supposedly. Itong 20 items na to, combination na siya ng lahat ng natakal natin ngayong araw na ito or ngayong umaga. Let's start. Number 1, each winner thanked their supporters. Is the sentence correct? Each winner thanked their supporters. Is the sentence correct? Each winner thanked their supporters. Tama po yung sentence natin, di ba? Meron tayo, balik po tayo sa rule natin, sa pronoun. Sabi natin kapag, di ba, yung indefinite pronoun, once nakita mo na yung, once nakita mo yung each, one, Everybody, anybody, somebody, kahit na anong mangyari, singular sila. Di ba? Yun yung sinabi natin. Kahit na anong mangyari, singular sila. Okay? So, dito, we are not referring to all the winners. We are referring to individual winners. Kaya ang tamang sagot dito ay, this is an incorrect sentence. This should be his or her. Okay? Each winner thanked his or her supporters. His or her supporters. Singular po ito. Hindi po siya plural. And you can see this in our first discussion in pronoun antecedent, di ba? Yung kahit na anong mangyari, sinabi ko, once nakita niyo yung each, anyone, anybody, somebody, one, someone, laging singular po iyon. Nako, una pa lang po ha. So let's see. Next. Anna injured her right foot. Anna injured her right foot. Is the sentence correct? Please analyze. Nako, tricky po yung ano na to, sentence. Sure po ba kayong correct yan? Okay. So tama po siya. So we have here an Anna, which is a common name of a girl. And of course, it should be substituted by a pronoun, girl. Anna injured her right foot. You are correct. Anyone can become a good cook if they want. Anyone can become a good cook if they want. Is the sentence correct? Okay. I can see that some are saying incorrect. Yung iba naman correct. Number 3 po tayo. Anyone can become a good cook if they want. Bakit may nagsasabing tama pero may nagsasabing mali? Ano ba dapat dito? Anyone. Anyone is part of the indefinite pronouns na kahit na anong mangyari, singular po siya. Kahit na anong mangyari, singular po siya. So, anyone can become a good cook if he or she wants. Okay? So, yung they dapat his or her. His or her. She or he dapat. Sorry. Anyone can become a good cook if he or she. He or she. Okay? So, yun po yung tamang sagot. Number 4. Henry's neighbors sometimes leave his garage door open. Number 4 na po tayo. Henry's neighbors always or sometimes leave his garage door open. Is this sentence correct or not? Okay, may nagsasabing incorrect. Bakit po siya incorrect? Why is this incorrect? Okay. Notice that Henry's neighbors, ito po yung pinag-uusapan natin. Yung neighbors ni Henry. Ilan yung neighbors ni Henry? It is not specified here, pero neighbors is plural. Tama po ba? Okay? Therefore, ano dapat ang tamang sagot? Henry's neighbors sometimes leave. Please type the correct answer. That's correct. There. There po ang tamang sagot dito kasi nga ang pinag-uusapan natin ay yung neighbors ni Henry, which is plural. Hindi po si Henry. Kung si Henry lang ito, for example, Henry sometimes leaves his garage door open. Tama po iyon. Kaya lang, ang pinag-uusapan natin dito ay yung neighbors niya, which is plural. Therefore, there ang tamang sagot. Next, everyone presented their own advocacy. Everyone presented their own advocacy. Is this sentence correct? Okay. Tama po kayo. Mali po yung sentence. Bakit? Everyone is indefinite pronoun and everyone kahit na anong mangyari is singular. Therefore, his or her. His or her. Okay. Next. Mr. Mabini and I will attend the orientation. Mr. Mabini and I will attend the orientation. Is the sentence correct? Is the sentence correct? Yes. Very good. Tama pa yung sentence natin. Kasi nga, who will attend the orientation? Mr. Mabini and I. And if the answer is, if the question is who, dapat subject yung kanyang sagot. So, I is the correct answer. This is a correct sentence. The new managers were Carlo, Kath, and me. The new managers were Carlo, Kath, and me. Is the sentence correct? Number 2 na po tayo. Is the sentence correct? Nako, may nalilito pa ata. Again, for in these kinds of sentences, tanungin ninyo, who or whom? Kapag who, yung bagay na question, then subject ang kailangan ninyo. Pero kapag whom, object ang kailangan ninyo. So ano ang tamang sagot dito? The new managers were Carlo, Kath, and me. Who were the new managers? Di ba? Who. Therefore, ang kailangan natin ay subject. Ang subject natin dito, Carlo, Kath, and me. Si me, subject po ba siya or object? It is a subject. It's an object. Therefore, mali siya. Kasi it does not match what we need. Ang kailangan natin dito ay subject. Ano ba ang subject form ng me? It's I. Okay, very good. The new managers were Carlo, Kath, and I. Kasi nga, who? Who were the new managers? I po yan. Number 8. Students wanted our grades immediately. Is the sentence correct? As students wanted our grades immediately. Okay, nakikita ko na yung mga sagot ninyo. So you are correct. This is an incorrect sentence because of the use of the word as. The word as is acting as the subject of the sentence, pero ang form naman niya ay object. Ano ba dapat? Ano ba ang subject form ng as? It is we. Very good. We students wanted our grades immediately. We students wanted our grades immediately. Kung plural po yung object na ito, dapat kung ita-transform natin siya sa subject, dapat plural din po siya. So we is the correct answer. The president gave Rhea and him an achievement award. Sige nga, tanungin natin. Who gave Rhea and him an achievement award? Who gave Rhea and him an achievement award? Sagot natin ay yung subject, which is president. So si president ang subject natin sa sentence. Wala na siya dito. Hindi po dito. Okay? To whom did the president give the achievement award? To whom did the president give the achievement award? Para kanino? Kung ang tinatanong natin ay para kanino, ang kailangan nating sagot ay object. So, is this sentence correct? Number 9. Tama po ba yung number 9 natin? Okay, it is correct. You are all correct. Kasi nga, again, you have to answer the question. You have to ask the correct question. Tanungin niyo muna, sino ba yung subject? Si President. Para kanino yung award? Kung para kanino yung award, dito lalabas yung object natin. So this is a correct sentence. Him. Hindi po siya he. Okay? The bosses sent their employees a free meal. The bosses sent their employees a free meal. Sana all, di ba? Is this sentence correct? Sent their employees a free meal. The bosses sent their employees a free meal. Is this sentence correct? Yes or no? Okay, very good. Tama po. This is a correct sentence. So I've noticed that some of you are still confused in other sentences. That's okay. This is not a one-time and you get it process. Hindi po. It takes time. Okay? So kung hindi man po kayo nakakakuha ng tamang sagot dito ngayon, then that's an indication that you need to review more. You need to read again. And you have to master what you are learning. Next, 11. Yesterday, I discussed this issue with both she and her colleagues. Is the sentence correct? Meron muna po tayong clue word dito. Tama ba yung sentence natin? Yesterday, I discussed, sige. Saan po dito yung ating verb sa sentence na ito? Saan po yung verb natin sa sentence? Discussed. Okay? Sino ang gumawa ng pagdi-discuss? Sino ang gumawa? Si I. Therefore, si I ang ating subject. Wala sa ibang parts ng sentence. Kung si I ang subject natin, yung ibang pronoun sa sentence natin ay object. Therefore, dito na tayo ngayon. She and her colleagues. Tama po kayo. Tama ka, Sir Philip. Mali na po yung sentence na ito. Because she is subject. But, she is subject, pero nandito siya sa place ng object. And remember, with is our object, or with is a preposition. With is a preposition. So, ang dapat kasama ni with ay object. So, with her and her colleagues. Yesterday, I discussed this issue with both her and her colleagues. Dapat yun ang tamang sagot. Di ba, medyo confusing lang siya kasi kasi sobrang daling bali-balik na rin ng mga sentences. But if you read and look at the sentences carefully and analyze the sentences correctly or carefully, then mas madadalian kayo. Let's make it fast. It's 11:55. These gifts are for you and I. Tama po ba ito? These gifts are for you and I. Very good. This is an incorrect sentence because of the preposition for. So, for you and me is the correct answer. For you and me. Now, for number 13, let's move on to our number 13 onwards sa ating subject-verb agreement na ito. The meeting starts at 3 p.m. Is this sentence correct? The meeting starts at 3 p.m. Tama po kayo. This is a correct sentence. Wala pong indication ng time. Hindi po sinabi dito na future. Hindi rin po sinabi na past tense. So, this is a correct sentence. Starts. My friends are with me yesterday. Is this sentence correct? My friends are with me yesterday. May clue word po ba tayo dito? May clue word po ba tayo dito? Ano po yung clue word natin dito? Yesterday. Kung yesterday yan, automatic na natitignan mo yung parts ng sentence. Baka naman yung verb mo ay naka-present tense. Kung yesterday yan, kailangan mo ng verb na past tense. Tama? Are ang ating verb dito. Are is our linking verb. So this sentence is incorrect. Ano po ba ang past tense ng are? Very good. were. My friends were with me yesterday. Okay? I will be watching the show tonight. I will be watching the show tonight. Is this sentence correct? I will be watching the show tonight. Mamayang gabi. I will be watching the show. Tama ba na I will be watching ang ginamit? Tama po. Okay, very good. Number 16, Camille will have worked as a teacher for over 25 years. Camille will have worked as a teacher for over 25 years. May clue word po ba tayo dito? May clue word po ba tayo dito? Itong over 25 years. Ibig sabihin, past tense siya. Diba? Mayroong past tense. Ibig sabihin nun, 25 years ago, teacher siya, hanggang ngayon teacher pa rin siya. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Mali po yung sentence na ito. Dapat, Camille has worked as a teacher for over 25 years. Okay? Camille has worked as a teacher for over 25 years. Hanggang ngayon, teacher pa rin siya. Number 17. As we speak, Caleb was fixing the television. As we speak, Caleb was fixing the television. Is this sentence correct? As we speak, Caleb was fixing the television. Meron po tayong clue word dito. Tama po kayo. This is incorrect. Why is this incorrect? Kasi as we speak, ibig sabihin, nangyayari ngayon. So, mali po yung was kasi past tense po siya. Dapat is fixing the television. As we speak, Caleb is fixing television. The restaurant has closed 2 years ago. The restaurant has closed 2 years ago. Is this sentence correct? Tama po ba yung sentence natin? 2 years ago. 2 years ago po siya. Ibig sabihin, kung nag-close na siya 2 years ago, nagko-close pa rin po ba siya hanggang ngayon? Hindi na, di ba? So, we don't really need a perfect tense here. Tama po, it's confusing. But you know, the question here is, itong restaurant na ito, nag-close na siya 2 years ago. Nag-close na po siya 2 years ago. Hanggang ngayon, nagko-close pa rin po ba siya? Does it make sense? Na ang isang restaurant ay nag-close na noon at nagko-close pa rin hanggang ngayon? Hindi po. It does not make sense. So, kung mali po yung question na yon, ibig sabihin, ang kailangan lang natin ay past tense. Past tense lang po siya. Kasi wala rin po siyang okay, pwede rin. The restaurant had closed 2 years ago or closed 2 years ago. Pwede po yon. Kasi 2 years ago is past tense. Okay? So this should be had. So that should be had closed. Or if we are referring to a restaurant na talagang nag-close na siya, minsanan, hindi na mauulit, natapos na nung past, then it should be closed only without has or without had. Okay? Completely nag-close na po siya. Okay? Hindi po siya had. Sorry. Pati rin ako na-confused. Hindi po siya pwedeng had pala. Kasi nga ito, one time lang. Nag-close na siya dati. Try to look at the examples given under past perfect tense. Kapag past perfect tense, there are 2 events that happened in the past. Dito, iisa lang po yung nangyari. Okay, so that restaurant closed 2 years ago is the answer. Closed lang po siya. Okay, number 19. I was resting in the garden. Oo, tama po. Closed lang siya. I was resting in the garden when it started to rain. I was resting in the garden when it started to rain. Is this sentence correct? I was resting in the garden when it started to rain. Okay. When it started to rain. Is this sentence correct? What makes it incorrect po? If it's incorrect. Tama po siya, di ba? Kasi meron tayong past tense at meron din pa tayong past tense dito. Now, this is our last sentence. You type amen if the sentence is correct. Months from now, you will become CSE passers. Type amen if the sentence is correct. Kung hindi po siya correct, ay nako, bahala kayo dyan. Okay, very good. This sentence is correct. Months from now, you will become CSE passers. Na-refill nyo na ba yun, di ba? You should be ready. Yun lang ba yung masasabi ko? You should be ready. Whenever you enter the testing room, whenever you take the test, or if you will take the test, dapat ready na po kayo. And I hope I made you ready through this discussion. Tama po, in Jesus' name, lahat po ng mga nagre-review ngayon ay makapasa na. In Jesus' name. Okay? And thank you for listening. I hope that I helped you in preparing for your exam. I am expecting that you will become CSE passers, and let's pray for that. Masasagot naman po yan. Okay? So, thank you for listening. Baka may pahabol na ano po si Ma. By the way, for our password or your password for the post test is hours.